Stop what you're doing right now because the coin in your hand could be hiding serious money and most people don't even realize it. From legendary Lincoln pennies that changed American history to rare error coins worth thousands of dollars to tiny details that only expert collectors notice to tiny details that only expert collecting it all down in a powerful way. One small date, one mint mark, or one tiny mistake from the mint can completely transform a simple 1-cent coin into something extremely valuable. So if you have any old pennies, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you might discover that your pocket change is actually a hidden treasure. Let's get started. Today we're taking a very close look at the legendary 1909 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin every collector should understand, because this small piece of history can sometimes be far more valuable than people realize. The 1909 Lincoln wheat penny is one of the most important coins ever released by the United States Mint. This coin marked a historic moment because it was the very first time a real person appeared on a regular U.S. circulating coin. Before 1909, American coins typically showed symbolic figures like liberty. But in 1909, to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Mint introduced a brand new design honoring the 16th President of the United States. That decision changed U.S. coinage forever, starting a tradition that continues today. The coin was designed by Victor David Brenner, and his work is instantly recognizable. On the front, or obverse, you'll see the detailed portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head is the word Liberty, and the year 1909 inches appears to the right. The famous phrase, "In God do we trust," curves along the top edge. The design was simple, clean, and incredibly powerful for its time. Flip the coin over and you'll see the classic wheat reverse design that collectors love. Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America with E pluribus unum at the top. That wheat design gave this coin its popular nickname, the wheat penny or wheat cent. This design stayed in production for nearly 50 years, from 1909 all the way to 1958. The 1909 wheat penny is made from 95% copper with a small amount of tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters across. Because of the high copper content, these coins develop beautiful color over time. When freshly struck, they had a bright reddish shine. As they circulated, many toned into brown or chocolate colors, and collectors today often categorize them as red, red-brown, or brown depending on how much original color remains. Now here's where things get really interesting. Not all 1909 Lincoln pennies are the same. There are actually several varieties that collectors search for, and some are dramatically rarer than others. The biggest difference comes down to mint marks and a tiny set of initials that caused huge controversy when the coin first came out. Most 1909 pennies were struck in Philadelphia, which means they had no mint mark under the date. Those are the most common version, but some coins were struck at the San Francisco Mint and carry a small S mint mark below the date. San Francisco coins were produced in much smaller numbers, and that immediately makes them more desirable to collectors. But the real story revolves around the initials VDB. These are the initials of the designer Victor David Brenner. When the coin first launched in 1909, his initials appeared on the reverse at the bottom between the wheat stalks. Some people at the time complained that the initials were too prominent, almost like advertising the designer. Because of that controversy, the Mint quickly removed them. That means only a small number of coins were struck with those initials before the design changed. As a result, collectors now look for 4 main varieties from 1909. The Philadelphia coin without initials, the Philadelphia coin with VD, the San Francisco coin without initials, and the famous San Francisco VDB version. That last one is the superstar of the entire series and one of the most talked about pennies in American coin collecting. Let's talk about condition, because condition is everything when it comes to coin value. Most 1909 pennies circulated for years in everyday use. Those coins typically show heavy wear, faded details, and darker brown surfaces. In lower grades, like good or very good, Lincoln's hair and coat are mostly smooth, and the wheat lines on the reverse may be worn down. Coins in this condition are still collectible, especially because of the historic year. A typical 1909 Philadelphia wheat penny without VDB in well-worn, circulated condition might sell for around $5 to $15 depending on detail and eye appeal. If the coin still shows strong lettering and some remaining detail, the price can move closer to $20. Now, when we move into better circulated grades like fine or very fine, you'll see clearer hair detail on Lincoln and stronger wheat lines on the reverse. In these conditions, a regular 1909 penny might reach around $20 to $40. Coins that still show attractive surfaces and minimal damage can bring even more from collectors who want nice examples for their albums. When we get to extremely fine and about uncirculated grades, the value begins to climb faster. At this level, much of the original design is still sharp, Lincoln's hairlines are visible, the wheat stalks look strong, and the coin may still have a bit of original luster. Prices for a Philadelphia 1909 penny in these higher circulated grades often range between $60 and $150. But the real excitement begins when a 1909 wheat penny survives in uncirculated condition. These coins were somehow saved early in their life and never experienced the wear of circulation. In mint state grades like MS63 or MS64, collectors look closely at luster, surface marks, and overall eye appeal. A beautiful uncirculated 1909 penny can easily sell for $200 to $500, especially if it still has strong original color. If the coin still has bright red copper color and grades in the MS65 range, the value can jump dramatically. Red examples are much harder to find because copper naturally darkens over time. A certified mid-state red coin from 1909 can reach well over $1,000 depending on quality. Now let's briefly talk about the VDB version from Philadelphia. These coins were struck in larger numbers than the San Francisco VDBB, but they're still very popular with collectors because of the story behind those initials. Even in worn condition, a 1909 VDB penny can sell for $15 to $40, and high-grade uncirculated red examples can reach several $100s or more. The San Francisco issues are where collector demand really heats up. A regular 1909 S penny without VDB is already scarce compared to Philadelphia coins. Even heavily circulated examples often sell for $80 to $150. In higher circulated grades, they may bring several $100s, and mint state pieces can move well into the thousands depending on color and preservation. But the ultimate prize of the entire year is the legendary 1909 SVDB wheat penny. This coin had a mintage of only about 484,000 pieces, which is incredibly small for a circulating U.S. coin. Because collectors quickly realized its rarity, many were saved early, but high-grade examples are still extremely difficult to find today. In lower circulated condition, a genuine 1909 SVDB penny often sells between $700 and $1,200 depending on wear and authenticity. Coins with stronger details and cleaner surfaces can easily reach $2,000 to $3,000. Once you enter extremely fine or about uncirculated grades, prices often jump to $4,000, $6,000, or even $8,000. And then we arrive at the top of the market, where elite collectors compete for the finest known examples. High-grade mint state coins with strong luster and beautiful original red color can sell for staggering prices. In major auctions, exceptional 1909 SVDB pennies graded in the highest mint state levels have sold for well over $50,000, with some premium examples pushing even higher depending on eye appeal and color. That's an unbelievable value for a coin that originally cost just 1 cent. So the next time you look at an old wheat penny, especially one dated 1909, take a moment and examine it closely. Check the mint mark under the date. Look for the tiny VDB initials on the reverse. Pay attention to the color, the detail, and the overall condition, because hidden among ordinary pennies could be one of the most famous coins in American collecting history, a small copper cent that started a new era of U.S. coin design and, in the right condition, could be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. Next up, imagine pulling a simple penny out of an old jar, flipping it over in your hand, and suddenly realizing you might be holding one of the most famous era coins in American history. A coin that collectors talk about constantly. A penny that has shocked people at auctions and has turned pocket change into thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible 1955 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that might look ordinary at first glance but has one legendary variety that every serious collector dreams of finding. The 1955 wheat penny comes from the long-running Lincoln Cent series, one of the most collected coin series in the entire United States. By 1955, the Lincoln was in circulation for more than 4 decades, and millions of Americans handled these coins every day without thinking much about them. But this particular year produced something very unusual at the U.S., and that unexpected mistake created one of the most famous coins in American numismatic history. First, let's take a close look at the design. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing to the right. This design was created by Victor David Brenner and first appeared in 1909. Above Lincoln's head, you'll see the motto, "In God Do We Trust." To the left of Lincoln is the word "Liberty," and to the right you'll find the date 1955. These elements are simple but very recognizable, which is exactly why collectors can easily spot when something is wrong with the lettering. Turn the coin over and you'll see the classic wheat reverse that collectors love. 2 wheat stalks frame the sides of the coin surrounding the words 1 cent and untie. Above that appears the motto E pluribus unum. This wheat design remained on Lincoln cents until 1958, making it one of the most iconic reverse designs in American coinage. The 1955 wheat penny is made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. Because of the high copper content, these coins often develop beautiful toning over time. Some appear dark brown from circulation, while others may show a mix of red and brown. The most desirable examples still have original bright red color from the day they were struck. Now, here's where the story gets exciting. Most 1955 pennies were produced normally and circulated for years like any other coin. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of them. These standard coins are common and are still found today in old collections, coin jars, and wheat penny rolls. But a small group of coins from that year came out of the mint with a dramatic mistake that instantly made them famous. This is the legendary 1955 double Die Obverse penny. A double die happens during the coin-making process when the die that stamps the coin receives multiple impressions that are slightly misaligned. When that die strikes coins, the design appears doubled. On the 1955 double die penny, the doubling is extremely strong and very easy to see. In fact, it's so bold that you can spot it with the naked eye without any magnification. If you look at a genuine 1955 double die obverse penny, the doubling appears clearly on the date, the word Liberty, and the phrase "In God We Trust." The letters look thick, almost like there are 2 images slightly shifted from each other. It's one of the most dramatic double dies ever released into circulation by the U.S. The story behind it is fascinating. In 1955, during production at the Philadelphia Mint, a batch of dies with this strong doubling was accidentally used to strike thousands of coins. Instead of being caught and destroyed, many of these coins entered circulation, reportedly mixed into cigarette vending machine change and other everyday transactions. Many of this kind of circulation reportedly mixed into cigarette vending machine change and other everyday transactions at once. That meant people across the country suddenly began noticing strange pennies with doubled lettering. Collectors quickly realized how unusual these coins were, and the 1955 double die penny became famous almost immediately. Even today, it remains one of the most recognized and sought-after era coins in American history. Now let's talk about value, because this is where condition plays a huge role. A normal 1955 wheat penny without the doubling is very common. In worn circulating condition, these regular coins usually sell for around 10 to 30 cents. If the coin is in better circulated condition with clear details, it might bring about 50 cents to $1. When a standard 1955 penny is found in uncirculated condition, the value improves a bit. Mint, state examples with some remaining luster can sell for $5 to $15 depending on grade. If the coin still has original red copper color and grades around MS65, collectors might pay $25 to $40 or sometimes more. But when we talk about the famous 1955 double Die Obverse penny, we are in a completely different world of value. Even in heavily circulated condition, a genuine 1955 double die penny is worth serious money. Coins graded around good or very good can often sell for around $1,000 to $1,500. These coins show heavy wear, but the dramatic doubling is still clearly visible, which keeps demand very strong. When the coin is in fine or very fine condition, meaning the design details are stronger and less worn, the value often jumps to around $2,000 to $3,000. Collectors love these mid-grade pieces because they still show strong detail while remaining more affordable than high-grade examples in extremely fine or about uncirculated condition. The prices climb quickly. At this level, the coin still shows sharp detail in Lincoln's hair and the wheat stalks on the reverse. These examples commonly sell between $4,000 and $8,000 depending on eye appeal. Once you move into true uncirculated territory, the value can become truly impressive. Mint state examples graded around MS63 or MS64 can sell for $10,000 or more. If the coin has strong original luster and attractive surfaces, collectors compete aggressively for them. The most valuable examples are those with bright original red color that have survived in very high grades. These coins are extremely rare because copper darkens easily over time, and most coins from 1955 circulated heavily before collectors realized their significance. At major auctions, exceptional high-grade 1955 double Die Obverse pennies have achieved truly remarkable prices. Some of the finest known examples graded in the highest mint state levels have sold for well over $50,000. And stunning red specimens have pushed even higher in competitive auctions. For a coin that started as a simple 1-cent piece, that kind of value is absolutely extraordinary. That's why the 1955 wheat penny holds such a legendary place in American coin collecting. It represents the perfect combination of history, rarity, and a dramatic minting era that anyone can see with their own eyes. And the most exciting part is that these coins were originally released into everyday circulation, meaning they once passed through the hands of ordinary people buying coffee, newspapers, or a pack of gum. So if you ever come across an old wheat penny dated 1955, take a few seconds and look at it carefully. Examine the lettering, check the date. Look closely at the words IBB Trust, because if those letters appear doubled in a bold, unmistakable way, you might be holding one of the most famous and valuable pennies ever produced by the United States Mint, a tiny copper coin that has shocked collectors for decades and, in the right condition, can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. Next up, stop what you're doing for a second, because the year 1958 might look ordinary on a penny, but it represents the very end of an era in American coin history. The 1958 Lincoln wheat penny is not just another old cent. It is the final chapter of the classic wheat design that millions of Americans grew up with. And depending on condition, it can still bring real money today. Let's start with the basics. The 1958 Lincoln wheat penny was produced during the final year of the wheat reverse design. After 1958, the U.S. Mint switched to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. That means 1958 was the last time the iconic two wheat stalks appeared on the back of a circulating U.S. penny. Because of that, collectors treat this year as historically important, even though it was made in very large numbers. Now let's look at the design. On the front, you'll see Abraham Lincoln facing right. The portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner and has remained one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. Above Lincoln is the motto, IDN God, W Trust. To the left is Liberty, and to the right is the date, 1958. The design is clean, bold, and very consistent with earlier wheat pennies. Turn the coin over and you'll see the classic wheat reverse Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top is E plur barbus unum. This design symbolized agricultural strength and was used on Lincoln cents from 1909 through 1958. For many collectors, this reverse brings strong nostalgia and a deep connection to mid-20th century America. The 1958 wheat penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. These coins were struck at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark. The Denver coins carry a small D mint mark below the date. That mint mark is very important when evaluating value and rarity. Now, here's something important to understand. 1958 pennies were produced in huge quantities. This was not a low mintage year. Millions upon millions were made for everyday circulation. Because of that, most 1958 wheat pennies are common today in worn condition. You can still find them in old coin jars, inherited collections, estate finds, and even in some circulated penny rolls. Let's talk value in detail, because condition makes all the difference. In heavily circulated condition, meaning the coin has noticeable wear, smooth areas on Lincoln's hair, and worn wheat details, a typical 1958 wheat penny is usually worth about 5 to 25 cents. In many cases, the value stays close to face value unless the coin has unusually strong eye appeal. If the coin is in better circulated grades like fine or very fine, where Lincoln's features are clearer and the wheat stocks show more detail, prices can rise to around 50 cents to $1. These coins are still very affordable, but collectors building wheat penny sets often seek nicer examples. Now, when we move into higher circulated grades such as extremely fine or about uncirculated, the value can increase further. These coins show light wear but still retain strong detail and possibly some original mint luster. In these grades, a 1958 wheat penny might sell for around $1 to $5. Depending on overall condition and whether it is a Philadelphia or Denver example, uncirculated coins are where things become more interesting. Mint state examples that were never used in circulation can still be found, especially because so many were saved at the time. In lower mint state grades like MS60 to MS63, values often range from about $5 to $15. Coins with bright original red color typically sell for more than brown or red-brown examples. Red copper coins are especially desirable. When a 1958 penny retains most of its original mint red color, collectors classify it as red. These coins stand out visually and are more attractive in collections. Higher grade red examples, such as MS65 red, can sell for $25 to $50 or sometimes more depending on demand. Now let's talk about something very important: errors and special varieties. While the 1958 wheat penny does not have a famous major variety like some earlier years, collectors always examine these coins carefully for mint errors. Possible errors include double dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, and other striking anomalies. While most 1958 pennies are normal, any significant mint error can increase value depending on rarity and severity. For example, a noticeable off-center strike with strong design visibility can be worth much more than a regular coin. Dramatic mint errors can sometimes bring dozens or even hundreds of dollars depending on uniqueness and condition. That's why it's always smart to check your coins closely before spending them. When it comes to investment potential, the 1958 wheat penny is generally considered a collectible coin rather than a rare investment piece. Because of high mintage numbers, most examples remain affordable. However, high-grade certified examples with strong red color can hold value well over time, especially as part of a complete wheat cent collection. The real excitement comes from the historical significance. This coin represents the end of the wheat era. After 1958, the design changed in 1959 to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, marking a new generation of U.S. company, a Lincoln Memorial Reverse. Since That transition makes the 1958 penny symbolic. It is the final wheat cent ever produced for circulation. Now let's talk about the highest known market performance. While most 1958 wheat pennies are common, top-graded certified examples in flawless mint state red condition have sold at auction for significantly higher prices. Exceptional specimens graded at the very top levels can reach several $100s. And in rare cases, premium quality coins with extraordinary eye appeal have brought strong competition from collectors. These elite condition examples represent the upper end of the market for this date. So here's the bottom line. If you find a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny, it is not automatically rare in average condition. Most are modest in value. But if you discover one in outstanding uncirculated red condition or one with a rare mint error, it becomes much more interesting. And as the final year of the wheat design, it holds a special place in U.S. coin history that collectors respect and appreciate. Always check the mint mark. Always examine the surfaces carefully. And always consider the condition. Because in coin collecting, condition is everything. Even a common coin can become desirable if it looks beautiful, sharp, and well preserved. The 1958 wheat penny may be the last of its kind, but it continues to attract attention from collectors across the country. It represents the closing chapter of an era, a simple 1-cent coin that quietly ended one of the most beloved designs in American numismatics, and today still has a place in every serious wheat penny collection. Next up, let me ask you something important. What if the penny in your pocket isn't just another modern cent, but one of the most dramatic era coins of the entire 20th century? The 1969 Lincoln Memorial copper penny might look simple, but this coin year includes one of the most famous and valuable doubling errors ever discovered on a U.S. Caravax cent, and depending on what you have, the value could range from just a few cents all the way to life-changing money. First, let's understand the coin itself. The 1969 Lincoln Memorial penny is part of the Lincoln Cent series that started in 1909. By 1969, the design had already changed from the wheat reverse to the Lincoln Memorial reverse, which began in 1959. That means instead of wheat stalks on the back, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial building. This design features a detailed image of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, with the words 1 cent prominently displayed in the center, United States of America beneath it, and E pluribus unum across the top. On the front, the coin still shows the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him is the motto, "In God Do We Trust." To the left is Liberty, and to the right is the date, 1969. If the coin was minted in Denver, you'll see a small D mint mark below the date. If it was struck in Philadelphia, there is no mint mark. Now let's talk about composition. In 1969, pennies were still made of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. That means these are true copper coins weighing about 3.11 grams. They have a solid copper core and copper outer layer. Because of this metal content, many 1969 pennies developed natural brown toning over time. Some may still show red color if they were carefully stored. Most 1969 pennies are extremely common. Hundreds of millions were produced. In normal circulated condition, these coins typically have very little premium value. A heavily worn 1969 penny is usually worth only face value, even in decent circulated condition. Most standard examples sell for just a few cents to maybe $1 depending on condition and demand. But now we need to focus on what makes this year extremely important in coin collecting. The 1969 S Die Obverse penny. This is one of the most famous double die coins in U.S. history. It was struck at the San Francisco Mint and carries the small S mint mark on genuine examples. The doubling is very strong and visible to the naked eye. You can clearly see doubling in the date, especially the numbers. You can also see it in the words Liberty and In God We Trust. The letters appear bold, thick, and noticeably doubled. This is not minor machine doubling. This is a true double die error created during the die-making process. That makes it highly desirable and extremely valuable. The story behind it adds to the excitement. When these coins first started appearing in circulation, people quickly noticed something unusual about the lettering. Once confirmed as a major mint error, collectors began searching for them aggressively. Because of the strong doubling in rarity, it became one of the most sought-after Lincoln Cent varieties ever discovered. Now let's discuss value carefully and realistically. A regular 1969 Philadelphia penny without errors and worn condition is worth only face value in most cases. Even in better circulated grades, values usually stay under $1. A standard 196 9D penny is also very common. In circulated condition, it is typically worth only a few cents. In uncirculated condition, common examples might sell for $1 to $5 depending on quality and color. However, the 1969S double die obverse is completely different. Even in lower circulated grades, this coin can be worth thousands of dollars. Because of its rarity and strong collector demand, prices often start in the several $1,000 range. In mid-level circulated condition, values can reach 5 figures depending on eye appeal and authenticity. In higher grades, the value increases dramatically. Mint state examples, especially those with strong detail and attractive surfaces, are extremely rare and highly competitive at auction. Certified examples in top condition have sold for very significant amounts. Exceptional high-grade pieces have reached tens of thousands of dollars at major auctions, and outstanding specimens with superior eye appeal have drawn intense bidding from serious collectors. Now let's talk about condition in general for 1969 memorial pennies, not just the famous error. Circulated coins are judged by wear. On the obverse, look at Lincoln's hair, cheek, and jawline. On the reverse, examine the Lincoln memorial columns. When these details are sharp and untouched by wear, the coin moves into about uncirculated or mint state territory. Uncirculated coins from 1969 are still relatively easy to find compared to older wheat cents, but high-grade examples with full red color and strong luster are much more desirable. Red coins are graded higher in the market because they maintain original mint appearance. Red-brown coins show partial toning. Brown coins have mostly toned over. A 1969 penny in MS65 red condition can sell for a noticeable premium compared to common circulated examples, especially if it has strong eye appeal. While most standard pieces are not rare, top-grade certified coins can hold steady collector value. It's also important to mention that collectors should always authenticate any suspected 1969 S double die coin. Because of its fame and value, there are counterfeit and altered examples in the market. The genuine coin shows very clear and consistent doubling, not weak or blurry effects. Professional grading services are strongly recommended for verification. So, what does this mean overall for everyday 1969 pennies? The value is generally modest. They are common, widely available, and easy to find in circulation or old collections, but for the rare 1969 double die obverse, the value can rise dramatically into the thousands and even tens of thousands of dollars depending on condition. That one variety transforms the entire year into something extraordinary. The 1969 Lincoln Memorial Copper Penny is a perfect example of how one small production mistake can create a legendary collectible. Most are ordinary, some are exceptional, and a very rare few are truly remarkable treasures that serious collectors pursue with passion. So the next time you see a 1969 penny, don't rush past it. Check the mint mark. Examine the lettering carefully. Look closely at the date, because sometimes the difference between pocket change and a major collectible is hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to notice. Next up, a coin so common that millions of people overlook it every single day, yet in one special form, it can turn an ordinary penny into a 5-figure collectible. That's the story of the 1972 Die Lincoln Memorial Copper Penny. It may look like everyday change, but this coin has one of the most famous double die varieties in the entire Lincoln Cent series, and that alone makes it incredibly exciting for collectors. Let's start with the basics. The 1972 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries a small D mint mark below the date on the front of the coin. The obverse features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above Lincoln, you'll see the motto "In God W Trust." To the left is Liberia, and to the right is the date 1972 with the mint mark just beneath it. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial design, which was used from 1959 through 2008. The memorial building is shown in detailed form with columns visible in the center. The words 1 cent appear prominently in the middle, United States of America below that, and Afrimerica, proximally S of America below that, and EPLBGIS. This design replaced the earlier wheat stock reverse and represents a different era in U.S. coinage. The 197D penny is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. These are solid copper coins, not the later zinc-based pennies that started in 1982. Because of the copper composition, many 1972 pennies developed natural brown toning over time, especially if they circulated heavily. Now, here's the key point. 1972 was a massive production year. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of pennies. That means most 197.2D coins are very common in circulated condition. If you find one in everyday pocket change, it is usually worth face value unless it has special qualities. In worn condition, meaning noticeable surface wear, softened details on Lincoln's hair, and light flattening on the reverse columns. A typical 1972D penny generally sells for only a few cents above face value. In most cases, circulated examples do not bring significant premiums. Even in better circulated grades like fine or very fine, where details are clearer and the coin looks sharper, value usually stays low. Most standard 1972D pennies remain affordable because of their high mintage. But now we move to the part that makes this year extremely important to collectors. The 1972 double Die Obverse, although the famous variety exists for both Philadelphia and Denver in different forms, the most widely recognized and valuable version is the strong double Die Obverse. On genuine examples, the doubling is very noticeable and can be seen clearly without magnification. The doubling appears on the date 1972, the word Liberty, and the motto In God Trust. The letters and numbers look thick and slightly shifted, almost like a shadow effect. This doubling was created during the die production process, not by machine damage or strike doubling. That distinction is extremely important because true double dies are much rarer and far more valuable. When the 1972 double die pennies were first discovered, collectors quickly realized their significance. The strong doubling makes the coin visually dramatic and instantly recognizable. Because of this, demand has remained strong for decades. Now let's talk about value in realistic terms. A regular 1972D penny in circulated condition is usually worth face value. These coins are extremely common and easy to find. In uncirculated conditions, standard examples can range from a few dollars to perhaps $10 depending on grade and whether the coin has attractive red color. Red examples, meaning coins that retain their original bright copper appearance, tend to be more desirable than brown examples. However, if we are discussing the true 1972 double die variety, the value changes significantly. Even in lower circulated grades, a genuine double die 1972 penny can be worth hundreds of dollars. The clearer the doubling and the better the condition, the higher the price climbs. In mid-level circulated grades, values can move into the thousands of dollars. Collectors pay strong premiums for coins where the doubling is bold and easily visible. In mint state condition, especially with strong original red color, prices can increase dramatically. High-grade certified examples often sell for substantial amounts at auction, and exceptional specimens can reach very high five-figure levels depending on quality, eye appeal, and market demand. Top-tier coins with outstanding preservation have historically drawn intense bidding from serious collectors. Condition plays a huge role. On any 1972 penny, examine Lincoln's hair detail on the front and the columns of the memorial on the back. Coins with sharp detail, strong luster, and minimal marks grade higher. Mint state coins are those that show no wear from circulation. Within mint state, red coins are generally more valuable than red-brown or brown coins because they retain their original appearance. It's also important to understand that not every 1972 penny with slight doubling is valuable. There are minor forms of doubling caused by strike issues or mechanical movement, and those are usually common. True double die coins show consistent, strong doubling that matches known authentic examples. Because of the value involved, professional authentication and grading are strongly recommended if someone believes they have a genuine variety. From an investment perspective, common 1972 D pennies are not rare. They are abundant and typically collected as part of date sets rather than as individual high-value coins. However, major era varieties from this year remain highly collectible and can perform very well in the numismatic market, especially when certified and in top condition. So when you look at a 1972 D Lincoln Memorial copper penny, remember this. Most are ordinary circulation coins with modest value, but within this year lies one of the most dramatic double die varieties in modern USSR coin history. A coin that transformed a common penny into a highly sought-after treasure. Always check the date carefully. Always look closely at the lettering, and if you ever see bold, unmistakable doubling on a 1972 penny, you may want to take a much closer look because that small copper coin could be far more important than it first appears. Next up, what if I told you that one single year completely changed the future of the American penny forever? And what if that same year produced coins that look almost identical but can be worth very different amounts depending on what they're made of? That's exactly what makes the 1982 Abraham Lincoln Memorial penny one of the most interesting and important modern coins you can find in circulation today. The year 1982 is a turning point in U.S. coin history. It was the last year the penny was made primarily of solid copper. After 1982, the United States Mint switched to a copper-plated zinc composition to reduce production costs. That means 1982 is a transition year, and transition years always create collector excitement. Let's start with the design. The front of the coin features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him is the motto, Ein Gott, W Trust. On the left side, you'll see Alberti, and on the right side is the date 1982. Some coins will also have a small mint mark below the date. If it was made in Denver, it will have ADD. If it was made in Philadelphia, there will be no mint mark. Turn the coin over and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial design. This reverse shows the detail building with visible columns. In the center is 1 cent. Below that is United States of America, and at the top you'll find E pluribus unum. This design was used from 1959 until 2008. Making it a familiar and beloved reverse for generations of Americans. Now here is where 1982 becomes extremely important. The composition changed during that year. Early in 1982, pennies were still made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, just like earlier years. But later in the year, the mint switched to a lighter weight composition made mostly of zinc with a thin copper plating. This change reduced production costs significantly. Because of that switch, there are multiple varieties of 1982 pennies. Some are large date copper coins, some are small date copper coins, some are large date zinc coins, and some are small date zinc coins. Collectors pay close attention to these differences. The biggest difference you can notice without special equipment is weight. A solid copper 1982 penny weighs about 3.11 grams. Zinc penny weighs about 2.5 grams. That difference matters greatly to collectors. Many people use a precise scale to determine whether their 1982 penny is copper or zinc. Now let's talk about value. Most 1982 pennies in circulated condition are Worth face value, that means 1 cent. Because billions of pennies were produced in 1982, they are very common. In worn condition, there is usually no significant premium unless the coin has a special variety or error. However, copper versions from 1982 can sometimes carry slightly higher interest among collectors, especially in uncirculated condition. A typical circulated example does not usually sell for much more than 1 cent. But nice uncirculated examples can bring a few dollars depending on condition and color. Red copper coins are more desirable than brown ones. Red coins retain their original bright mint color. Brown coins have toned naturally over time. In mint state condition, especially with strong red color, 1982 copper pennies can sell for higher prices within collector sets. Zinc pennies from 1982 are very common. In circulated condition, they are generally worth face value. Even uncirculated examples usually remain affordable because of their high mintage and widespread availability. Now let's discuss mint errors, because 1982 is also known for interesting varieties. Because the composition change happened during production, there are known transitional varieties and possible weight-related discoveries. Collectors carefully check 1982 pennies for the correct weight and appearance to determine which version they have. Any unusual mint error, such as a major double die, off-center strike, or dramatic production mistake, can increase value depending on rarity and condition. However, unlike some other years, 1982 does not have a single famous high-value double die that defines the entire year. Instead, its importance comes from the composition transition and the multiple varieties created during that switch. From an investment perspective, most 1982 pennies are not rare, but copper examples, especially well-preserved mint state pieces, can be collected as part of complete transition sets. Some collectors focus specifically on assembling all 1982 varieties, which adds interest and demand. When grading any 1982 penny, condition remains extremely important. Look at Lincoln's hair detail on the front. Check for scratches, wear, and surface marks. On the reverse, examine the columns of the Lincoln Memorial. Coins with strong detail, full luster, and minimal contact marks grade higher and are more desirable. Mint state coins are those that show no circulation wear. Within mint state, red copper examples are generally more valuable than brown examples. The same applies to other copper coins. Color significantly impacts price. If you happen to find a 1982 penny in your change, it is always worth taking a closer look. First, check the date. Then check whether it has a mint mark. Finally, consider weighing it if you have access to a precise scale. That simple step can help determine whether it is copper or zinc. The 1982 Lincoln Memorial penny may not be a rare coin overall, but it represents one of the most important turning points in modern U.S. coin production. It marks the transition from solid copper to copper-plated zinc, changing the way pennies have been made ever since. Most examples are common and affordable, but carefully preserved copper varieties, high-grade certified coins, and any significant mint errors can carry added collector value. And because this is a transition year, collectors continue to study and collect it with serious interest. So when you see a 1982 penny, don't assume it's just another ordinary cent. Take a moment, check the details, consider the composition change. Because this small coin represents a major shift in American coin history, and understanding that difference is what separates casual change from informed collecting. Next up, imagine holding a penny that looks completely normal, but it represents one of the most important changes in modern U.S. coin history. The 1983 Lincoln Memorial penny may seem ordinary at first glance, yet it belongs to a year that marked the full transition into the modern era of penny production. And because of that change, this coin deserves a much closer look than most people ever give it. The 1983 penny comes from the long-running Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909. By 1983, the design had already been using the Lincoln Memorial reverse since 1959. That means on the back of the coin, you'll see the detailed image of the Lincoln Memorial building. In the center, you'll find the words 1 cent. Below that appears United States of America, and at the top is the motto E pluribus unum carn. The columns of the memorial are clearly visible on well-struck examples, and strong detail adds to collector appeal. On the front, the coin shows Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him is I Bear It Trust. To the left is Liberty, and to the right is the date, 1983. If the coin was minted in Denver, you'll see a small D mint mark beneath the date. If it was made in Philadelphia, there will be no mint mark. Now here is the key reason 1983 is extremely important. This was the first full year that pennies were made of copper-plated zinc. In 1982, the mint transitioned from solid copper to a new composition. By 1983, all regular circulation pennies were made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating. The coin still looks like copper on the outside, but inside it is mostly zinc. This change reduced production costs significantly and permanently altered the physical properties of the penny. Because of this composition shift, 1983 pennies weigh about 2.5 grams compared to earlier copper cents that weighed about 3.11 grams. That difference is very important to collectors. If someone finds a 1983 penny that weighs 3.11 grams, that would immediately raise serious questions and require expert evaluation, because standard 1983 pennies are common. Billions of pennies were produced in 1983, making them widely available in circulated condition. In worn, circulated condition, a typical 1983 penny is usually worth face value 1 cent. Even in better circulated grades, they generally remain very affordable. In uncirculated condition, values increase slightly. A standard 1983 penny in mint state condition can sell for a few dollars depending on grade and eye appeal. Coins with strong original luster and minimal contact marks are more desirable to collectors building complete date sets. Red examples, meaning coins that retain bright mint color, tend to attract more attention than brown-toned coins. Since these coins are zinc-based with a copper coating, they can still display attractive surfaces if properly stored. Now let's talk about something very important: errors and special varieties. Like many high production years, 1983 produced mint errors. Some examples include off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other striking irregularities. Any significant mint error can increase value depending on rarity and condition. One of the most interesting areas collectors focus on is weight and transitional possibilities. Since 1983 was fully zinc-based, collectors sometimes examine coins carefully to ensure correct composition. However, standard production coins from this year should conform to the zinc specification. When grading a 1983 penny, condition is always key. Look closely at Lincoln's hair detail on the obverse. Examine the cheek and jawline for signs of wear. On the reverse, check the memorial columns for sharpness and clarity. Coins without circulation wear qualify as mint state. Within mint state, higher numerical grades indicate fewer marks and stronger eye appeal. Although 1983 pennies are not rare in general circulation, high-grade certified examples can hold steady collector demand. Many collectors seek pristine examples to complete full Lincoln Cent runs, and condition-sensitive collectors often prefer coins that look exceptionally clean under magnification. From an investment standpoint, the 1983 penny is typically not considered a rare coin in standard form. Its value mainly depends on grade, condition, and any potential mint errors. However, exceptional examples with outstanding preservation can maintain strong collector interest over time. What truly makes 1983 significant is not rarity, but transformation. It represents the first complete year of the modern zinc-based penny. That shift changed the structure of the coin permanently and continues to this day. Every penny produced after this transition follows that composition model, so if you come across a 1983 Lincoln Memorial penny, take a moment to look at it carefully. Check the condition, examine the surfaces, look for unusual characteristics, While most examples are common and easy to find, understanding what makes this year special helps you appreciate its place in U.S. coin history. The 1983 penny may seem simple, but it marks a permanent change in American currency. It is a bridge between the copper era and the modern era. And in the world of coin collecting, transition years like this are always worth understanding because they tell the story of how our money evolved, one small coin at a time. Next up, what if I told you that a penny from the early 1990s could be the key to one of the most valuable modern varieties in the entire Lincoln Cent series? The 1992 Die Lincoln Memorial penny might look like everyday change, but this coin year includes something extremely important that serious collectors, and understanding it could make a huge difference in what you find in your pocket. Let's start with the basics. The 1992 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries a small D mint mark beneath the date on the front. On the obverse, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above him is the motto, I in God, Dub, W Trust. To the left is Library, and to the right is the date 1992 with the mint mark directly underneath it. Turn the coin over and you'll see the Lincoln Memorial reverse design. This design was used from 1959 through 2008. The memorial building is shown in detailed form with columns visible in the center. In the middle of the reverse is 1 cent. Below that reads Unedited States of America, and across the top is E Pluribus Unum. On well-struck examples, the architectural details look sharp and clean. B1992 D penny is made from copper-plated zinc. By this time, all regular circulation pennies were produced with a zinc core and a thin copper coating. The coin weighs about 2.5 grams. This lighter weight distinguishes it from earlier solid copper pennies, which weighed about 3.11 grams. The composition change that began in 1982 was fully in place by 1992. Now let's talk about value, because most 1992 D pennies are very common. Millions upon millions were produced, and many remain in circulation or in old collections. In typical worn condition, a standard 1992 D penny is usually worth face value 1 cent. Even in better circulated grades, they generally remain inexpensive due to high mintage numbers. In uncirculated condition, values increase slightly. A normal mint state 1992 D penny can sell for a few dollars depending on grade and overall appearance. Coins with strong luster and minimal marks are more desirable to collectors assembling date runs of modern Lincoln cents. Red examples, meaning coins that retain bright mint color, tend to attract more attention than brown-tone coins. Because these coins are copper-plated, their outer appearance can still look very attractive if stored properly. Higher mint state grades can command stronger prices, especially if the coin has excellent eye appeal. Now here is the most important part of this year, the famous 1992 Close AM variety. This is one of the most sought-after modern Lincoln Cent varieties. On most 1992 pennies, the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse are slightly spaced apart. However, on the rare Close AM variety, those letters are much closer together, similar to the spacing used in proof coin designs. The Close AM variety is especially valuable because it was not supposed to appear on regular circulation coins. It is believed that certain reverse dies intended for proof coins were accidentally used in business strike production that created a rare and highly collectible variety. Collectors carefully examine the reverse of 1992 pennies to check the spacing between the A and M in America. If the letters appear very close together, the coin could be a valuable variety and should be authenticated. Now let's discuss value ranges. Standard 1992 D penny in circulated condition is typically worth 1 cent. There is usually no premium unless the coin has an error or variety. In uncirculated condition, regular examples might sell for a few dollars depending on grade and color. Higher grade certified coins can bring modest premiums within collector sets. However, if a 1992 D Close AM variety is confirmed, the value changes dramatically. Even lower-grade examples of this variety can sell for significant amounts, and high-grade specimens can reach very strong prices in the market. Certified examples with excellent preservation and clear diagnostic features are highly desirable and can command substantial premiums compared to ordinary coins. When evaluating any 1992 D penny, condition remains extremely important. Examine Lincoln's hair detail on the front for signs of wear. Check the cheek and jawline for surface marks. On the reverse, inspect the memorial columns carefully. Coins without wear qualify as mint state. Within mint state, higher numerical grades indicate fewer contact marks and stronger overall quality. Modern coins like the 1992 D penny are often overlooked because they are still relatively recent, but collectors know that modern varieties and errors can sometimes carry surprising value. That's why careful inspection is always important. From an investment perspective, common 1992 D pennies are not rare in standard form. They are widely available and easy to find. However, the close AM variety and any significant mint errors from this year are much more collectible and can hold strong demand among specialists. The 1992 D Lincoln Memorial Penny represents the modern era of coin production. It reflects the continued use of copper-plated zinc composition and the long-standing Lincoln Memorial reverse design. While most examples are ordinary circulation coins, the possibility of rare varieties makes this year exciting for attentive collectors. So the next time you see a 1992 D penny, don't dismiss it automatically. Take a closer look at the reverse lettering. Check the condition. Examine the details, because sometimes even a modern-looking penny can hide something special, and knowing what to look for can turn simple change into a meaningful discovery. Next up, hold on to this thought for a moment. A coin from the late 1990s, something most people barely notice, could actually deserve a second look. The 1999 D Lincoln Memorial Penny might seem like a modern everyday cent, but it belongs to a fascinating era of U.S. coin production, and depending on condition, it can be an important piece in a serious collection. Let's explore it in detail and understand exactly what makes this coin interesting to collectors. The 1999 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why you'll see a small D mint mark located directly beneath the date on the front of the coin. The obverse features the classic portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above Lincoln is the motto, "In God W Trust." On the left side, you'll find the word Liberty, and on the right side is the year 1999 with the mint mark below it. This design is part of the long-running Lincoln Cent series that began in 1909. The coin had been using the Lincoln Memorial reverse for 4 decades. On the back of the coin, you'll see the Lincoln Memorial Building centered in detailed form. The words 1 cent appear prominently in the middle. United States of America is written below, and E pluribus unum is displayed across the top. When the coin is well preserved and sharply struck, the architectural details of the memorial can look very impressive. The 1999 D penny is made of copper-plated zinc. By this time, all standard circulation pennies were produced with a zinc core and a thin copper coating on the outside. The coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams, which is lighter than the older solid copper pennies that weighed about 3.11 grams. This modern composition has been standard since the early 1980s. Now, let's talk about production and availability. The 1999 D penny was minted in very large numbers. Like most modern cents, billions were produced for circulation. Because of this high mintage, the coin is extremely common in circulated condition. Many are still found in everyday change, bank rolls, and older collections. In typical worn condition, a 1999 D penny is usually worth face value, 1 cent. Circulated examples generally do not carry significant premiums unless they contain a mint error or special variety. Even coins with moderate wear are very common and easy to obtain. In better circulated grades where the coin still shows strong detail but has light wear, value remains modest. These coins may appeal to collectors building complete date and mint sets, but they are generally affordable. Now let's look at uncirculated examples. State 1999. D pennies are widely available because many were saved when issued. In lower mint state grades, values may range from a few dollars depending on condition and eye appeal. Coins with strong original luster and clean surfaces are more attracted to collectors. Color plays a role as well. Red coins, meaning those that retain bright original mint color, are typically more desirable than brown-toned coins. Since these coins are copper-plated, their surfaces can still look vibrant if stored properly. Higher-grade certified red examples may command stronger prices within collector markets, especially in MS65 or above. While the 1999 D penny does not have a single widely famous error like some earlier Lincoln Cents, collectors still examine these coins carefully for mint mistakes. Possible errors include off-center strikes, die cracks, clip placates, and other production anomalies. Significant errors can increase value depending on rarity and visual impact. Condition is always the foundation of coin value. When evaluating a 199 D penny, examine Lincoln's hair detail on the obverse. Look for sharpness in the facial features and absence of wear. On the reverse, check the Lincoln Memorial columns and steps. Coins without wear are classified as mint state, and within mint state, higher numerical grades indicate fewer contact marks and better overall preservation. Although this coin is modern and widely available, that does not mean it lacks importance. It represents the continued era of copper-plated zinc pennies, which have been in production for decades. It also reflects the long continuity of the Lincoln Memorial design before the series transitioned in 2009 to the Lincoln Bicentennial reverse designs. From a collecting perspective, the 1999 D penny is commonly included in complete date and mint collections of Lincoln Cents. Many collectors enjoy assembling full sets from 1909 onward, and modern coins like this one are necessary to complete those runs. From an investment standpoint, standard 199 D pennies in circulated condition are not rare and do not typically appreciate significantly beyond face value. However, high-grade certified examples, especially those with exceptional eye appeal, can maintain steady demand among collectors who focus on quality. The true value potential in modern pennies usually comes from exceptional condition or notable mint errors. That's why it's always worth examining coins carefully before assuming they are ordinary. So when you come across a 1999 D Lincoln Memorial penny, take a moment to appreciate what it represents. It is part of the modern generation of U.S. sexist coinage. It carries the familiar Lincoln design that has been honored for over a century. And while most examples are common and affordable, carefully preserved mint state pieces and any unusual mint errors can add collector interest. Every coin tells a story, and even a late 1990s penny is part of that ongoing history. Understanding its composition, design, mint mark condition, and potential varieties allows you to look at it not just as spare change, but as a small piece of American minting tradition that continues to evolve year after year. Thanks for watching and happy collecting.